Hello and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. The Local Leaders Podcast provides a platform for successful business owners to share their stories, their experiences, their advice, and their ideas in order to help our listeners achieve more success in their business and in their lives. Get ready, another great show is coming up. Good morning and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. This is your host, Jeff Johnson, and I am excited today to be here with Louis LaRose of Lou's Full Serve Restaurant. He's in Jackson, Mississippi, and he's joining us today on the day off, although there's rarely a day off for a restaurant owner, as all of you know. Louis, welcome to the show, and thanks for being here today.
Morning. Thanks for having me. We surely appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, we are all excited about hearing about Lou's Full Serve and kind of the history, the background, where the inspiration came from, and just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I guess Lou's Full Serve is we are almost at year 7. Next month, I guess this is August now, so the mid next month, September, will be our 7th anniversary. I guess we got started. If you rewind 7 years, I had taken a job and had started working a lot of hours for somebody else again. I got out of the industry for a little while. I was in the industry, but on a different end of it, working for Cisco. And just something was still missing, from what I had been used to doing. So I jumped back in. It was working so many hours for somebody else again, 70, 80, 90 hours sometimes every week. And I'm like, man, it's a lot. So I kind of started the ball rolling in my head. I'd always questioned whether or not I could. And then that's kind of where my thought process began on starting the restaurant. Is like, I'm here and I need to if I'm going to keep doing this and working this many hours, I want to do it for my own and do it for myself. And give myself the opportunity, maybe live a little better, give other people the opportunity to learn some things, to make a good living, have gainful employment in this business that I've loved for almost 30 years now. Seeing as how I got started in the early 90s. And that's kind of the inspiration for me has always been, I just want to cook my food. You can be somebody else's chef and do things for other people, but you never really fully have, complete autonomy with things. And it's never really yours. But you're dealing with the same kind of headaches, but for somebody else, which is great. And, my previous jobs in the industry for whatever tenures had always warmed me up, I guess, to being my own boss and, having to make the decisions. It was definitely been an eye-opener, the last 7 years. But I just wanted a place where I could cook my own food. Not as fancy as I once was, working in Miami and some early on back in Jackson. I just try to keep things simple and approachable and comfortable. And that's kind of was the whole basis to what we're going to do at the restaurant as far as our offerings, whether it was atmosphere or food or, service style.
Yeah, well, that is a great story, and I love the quote. I just want to cook my own food.
I just want to cook my own food.
Yeah, I mean that kind of says it all. And at some point, you have to work in all those hours and working for other people. You decided it was time to go. So, and a quick question: was it what kind of risk did you have to take to get it started?
Well, I mean. You risk everything. I mean,
yeah.
you sign a lease for a few $100,000, over say a 7 or 10 year period. You're taking on a loan and 2 other personal loans. So I mean, it's a huge risk. You're putting your name on the line. You're putting your family, your home, and everything else on the line because basically you sign your life away, for the opportunity. And I was glad to do that because I don't pat myself on the back a lot, but I do have faith on myself. I just keep it quiet, or faith in myself, I should say. But you risk everything. You risk your reputation. You risk everything. But it's worth it for, the end results. Your food on a plate, people smiling in the dining room, enjoying the service that they get, a young cook or somebody else in the industry learning something new. It's all worth it in the long run.
Yeah, let me shift gears on that question just a little bit, because one of the things we hear a lot is in the industry is it's a tough business to own. Hours are long and there's a lot of stress.
Absolutely.
How do you handle or do you have like a balance between your work and your life, or how does that work on your end?
Well, I mean, you got to kind of balance it. My wife, thankfully, has been behind me 100% of this journey, from whether I was somebody else's chef or sous chef to now, because we've been together about 20 years now. So she supported me and has understood from day one that my career path, or the job that I had in this career path, was going to require a lot of my time, more time than I give to my family. Whether I was working 50 hours as somebody's chef, or 60 hours, or 80 hours at the museum sometimes, or more than that at my own restaurant, she knows where to find me. She knows what I'm doing, and I mean it's tough at first. I mean, like I like to tell people this. A lot of people say, "Hey, the restaurant business is a marathon, not a sprint." That's true. It's also a meat grinder of an industry, because you feel like you get chewed up and spit out on a daily basis. Whether it's busy or it's slow, there's always something to worry about. Having said that, I've always been good about, when I come home from work, I'm home from work. I'm not bringing my work with me. I'm not bringing my stress. I never react or act different, so when I'm home, I'm here for my family, or, with my son and my wife, or doing something with, in my shop or my garage, building something, because that's generally what I do when I'm not here.
Yeah.
But it is hard to balance it sometimes, and there are times that, you don't want to have to be at work, and, you're required to, because it's your business now. It's not like I can just tell somebody no, and I can't come to work that day because you're asking me to pick, extra hours. I get that. But, thankfully, one thing that's happened over the last, I guess, 18 months with, coming out of the lockdowns and everything associated with this pandemic that's been going around is we've closed on Mondays. So now we're closed on Sundays and Mondays all day. We are available for private parties and whatnot, and we do book them from time to time. But it's given me 2 days off in a row, as well as everybody else in the restaurant. 2 days off in a row. Sundays and Mondays, no matter what, we're closed. Again, unless we have a private event. So that's kind of unheard of, for a lot of places in this industry. You get a weekend day and a weekday off, handle business and do things. Having 2 days off back to back really helps you physically, helps you mentally, and then the other 5 days a week you grind your ass off. It's that simple. Whether you're the cook, dishwasher, busboy, server, bartender, hostess, we expect you to be there grinding away. Now, a lot of my other guys, kitchen and otherwise, they have other jobs, so, they're working, double hours too, because, we all try to make a living, but it's one thing I know is that, if you're working for me and some of the other places I've got, they're closed on Sundays as well. So it's a refresher day, and some of them are even closed on Monday. So 2 days off is kind of a blessing. And that's helped me with, my mental state of mind and preparedness for the week coming. And it also helps me take care of things for the restaurant, and know that my people get to rest. And it's not quite as bad as it could be.
Yeah, and that's not only for yourself, but as you said, it's a benefit for your employees as well, because
that means more to me, because I tell people a lot, my staff is number one. They are, and I try to tell them they don't look for me to pat them on the back every day, but I tell people, I can't open my business without my employees.
Right.
Every day I can't go and serve, our food if, certain people aren't in position getting things done. So they have to be my number one. Customers obviously are my number two, but we can't function as a business without employees,
Yeah, well, and that's critical, and I'm sure that they appreciate it, and probably one of the reasons that you're able to to retain people, which is important these days because, another topic of conversation across the industry is staffing. And so many restaurants are so short-staffed that they've had to do things kind of like you guys in terms of cutting hours, cutting shifts, cutting days out of the schedule. And it sounds like you were right there, probably driven to that from a staffing perspective. But the fact that you can now give them 2 days off in a row is a benefit, which it should help recruiting going forward. Do you see yourself opening back up at some later point to a 6-day-a-week schedule, or do you think you'll hold where you are?
I think I'm going to hold where I am personally. Not everything's about, sales numbers and needing this and this. I mean, yes, staying open is about sales and whatnot. But
right.
if you're grinding, if you're boot healing your people with your schedule, you're not doing yourself any favors. And we're surviving better with that because we eliminated the slowest shifts with the highest labor percentage. Mm-hmm. Mondays were always a crapshoot. Lunches were kind of decent. Dinners were slow. I mean, it was there was a larger variance in sales numbers for Mondays than any other day of the week. Right. And I will add too that we did close for Saturday lunches as well, because that again was also one of those shifts. You may have $500-800 in sales, may have $2,500-2,800 in sales. Just never know. But that's also a day that was hard to get people to work.
Yeah,
it was hard to get on track. You're doing brunch stuff. You're cooking stuff that people aren't used to cooking. The other 5 days a week you were open, so we just eliminated that as well. But we couldn't be open Monday and Saturday right now with the staff that I have. There's just not enough people.
Yeah.
I lost a couple guys at the end of the year that moved out of town that had worked with me for a couple of years. One front house employee, a couple back house employees, and literally I have not been able to replace them yet. I've brought in a couple temp people. I've got a kid leaving in a week. I don't know what I'm going to do to replace him. He's been helping us out, learning the industry a little bit. Very green, but he's been working my salad and dessert station at night. Been grateful to have him. But like I said, it's when he's gone, I have nobody to put in that position. And that's a problem. I've got a week. Yeah, I've got a week and a half and he's gone. And I've got nobody on the radar, and we've put feelers out, but you don't just hire a warm body. You can't, because you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah.
If you got somebody ruining stuff or somebody that doesn't care, somebody you don't know is going to show up, puts added stress on other people. And that's why you have a core group of people like we do. I have some really, really, really solid employees. Pretty much everybody that's currently employed to me is extra valuable to me because they all do the job.
We lost your audio for just a second.
And I am so grateful for that.
Well, it's great. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we had a little audio blip there for a second. Hopefully we're good now.
Okay.
But yeah, it's difficult. Just about every owner we talk to is struggling with staffing and trying to solve it. If we could come up with a solution, I think it would. We could get rich quick if we had a way to solve it. But I think it's more political than it is operational, and hopefully things will get better.
Well, I think I probably agree with you on that aspect. A lot of people are taking advantage of free mailbox money.
Yeah.
But I don't know, people on unemployment, they've cut benefits and whatnot. But, that also throws up the question do I want somebody that's been sitting at home for 18 months not wanting to work, and they just decide to come to work because certain benefits got cut off? I don't know if I want that employee or not.
Yeah.
That said, if you eliminate that person from your equation, who's left? Well, everybody else, some people left this industry during the lockdown and never came back.
Right.
Going back to, because it's a meat grinder marathon, it's tough, but for some of us, this is all we know how to do, and it's a good way to make a living, so it's a lot of the people you would want are working somewhere else, so it's, you just got to keep your eye out. I've always said I will run lean and pay overtime, a lot of overtime, to my people that will show up and work, rather than bring somebody in who doesn't give a shit about what we're doing. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
But, somebody who doesn't care, who doesn't want to be there, and is just there for a paycheck. Those are the ones you got to sort out and get out, because they're not good for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to deliver the value, the customer service, the dependability, everything that you're trying to achieve and have been achieving.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get messed up in a heartbeat. And it sounds like you've done about everything that can be done to be able to maintain your operation and keep it open as much as possible. And I wish you the best on finding some people to bring in there, some new folks, and hopefully some of the guys and ladies that left the industry will come back, and decide, I'm going to get back into it. Yeah, that would be the saving grace. Well, let me shift gears. Let me ask you a question about kind of your journey in the business. We have a lot of people that like to hear about challenges that you faced over the years, and I think some of that we've actually, COVID's always been a big one to talk about, but even before that, what were some of the bigger obstacles you ran into when you started the business or when you first got going, and kind of how did you get past them?
Just opening a restaurant in general is an obstacle. Okay. I think 80% of restaurants will close their doors in 3 years or less. Mm-hmm. I think that's the standard math. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule. Getting to where you can open a restaurant is a hurdle in and of itself. Securing money. I feel like I was lucky. I approached the SBA at the right time for the right amount of money, which wasn't too great. I didn't ask for a whole lot of money because I'm not going in doing fancy furnitures and fixtures. And so my first hurdle was, going from being excited about having an idea to being frustrated about how can I take this from paper and put it into a brick and mortar? How can I take this from an idea and make it a reality? And thankfully, of all the obstacles I faced opening, Trustmark, came through for me with an SBA loan. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here now. So I wouldn't be here right now without Trustmark. They've been a great business partner. We've developed a good relationship. So very grateful for that. Creating something that people will enjoy, an environment that people will enjoy coming to, comfortable in, and creating food, and a service, kind of environment and structure that people want to come back to multiple times was our first hurdle. Other than staffing and, your obvious construction hurdles, when we're building, we're running out of timelines. When I first left my other job, excuse me, and I went on, I was thinking 12 to 16 weeks. So I left my job and it was like 8 months later, so, I left my job towards the end of the year in 2013, like October, and we didn't open until September of 14. So that was, running into the hurdles of, going in and, I guess, building out a space in general, tearing the walls out. We took it down to 4 cinder block walls. The place we moved into was originally a pharmacy in the, I guess the grocery store's been there since like 1920. A few years later, they added on, and whatnot. It had been a pharmacy with a little burger counter, soda fountain, the gas line. And, so we took it down literally to 4 cinder block walls. We still have the original floors. It's a real first hurdle after, starting the ball rolling with, the loans was plumbing issues, timelines. Getting a permit in the city of Jackson took forever, because we were, through no fault of, I guess, what was happening, but the mayor had passed recently. And, so it took forever to get our permit. And, it felt like, golly, this is never going to happen. And I'm running out of time. I'm running out of money. My wife was still cutting hair. Of course, she left that job to work at the restaurant as kind of a front house manager and, do the accounting work and stuff like that.
Right.
For payroll. So she's literally supporting the two of us. I'm selling everything I've got in my house. It's not like the couch we're sitting on, to help pay the mortgage and whatnot. But that was great. That was a learning experience, So we get on track. We bring employees in, some of which I knew, a lot of which were new employees to me, and so that major hurdle, I feel like when we first opened, we jumped it clean and clear. It was good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of restaurants, a lot of people flock to new places because, people do get burned out in this industry. They do get, tired of working one place. You give a couple years to one place and you're like, hey, I've kind of acclimated. I know what I'm doing. I've gone through the ranks, so it's time to move on. So you get some people that are looking for fresh or just a new environment, different food. So that was good. We still got a lot of employees from day one. Believe it or not, I think we still got 5 or 6 people working for us that have been here since, I guess they would have started around August. So 7 years ago this month, we started training them. Keeping the restaurant open, procuring the right food, preparing it, cooking it. Those are daily hurdles, Jeff. Keeping people motivated, keeping people wanting to work for you, treating them right, giving them the tools that they need to do their job right. Those are all very important just to do things on a daily basis, which is the biggest hurdle is, keeping people coming back to your business. We do it to do it again and again and again, not for a whatever percent tip or whatever selling out of a special. It's important that you can open the doors the next day and the next day and the next day. And that in and of itself is the biggest hurdle. Yeah.
Yeah. And all the little things in between you have to do to make that happen every day.
Yep.
It would, from a, well, you're an owner operator and some of the people we talked to a few people that are not, but mostly it's been owner operators and your perspectives are a little different than, let's say, the restaurant group where you've got, a group of investors just dumping funds to support businesses. But you touched on it just a minute ago, and I'm thinking about the leadership side. And how would you describe your leadership style in the restaurant? And is it, have you had to adapt, your style to be more effective?
I have. I've kind of toned down my intensity, at work a little bit. I'm not like an alpha male, alpha chef. I never have seen myself like that. I'll always take the second seat or the passenger seat to another chef in the business if we're collaborating on something. But as far as my leadership style, I want people to enjoy what we're doing every day. I want people to want to come to work. I want people to want to work for me. I want to treat people right. That was one of the things that I'd always said when I opened my restaurant is I want to treat people the way I wanted to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if I screw up. Tell me if I'm doing a good job. It really is that simple. Make sure your employees are paid right. Make sure the money's there when they want to get paid, because that's number one to them. I get that. It's number one to me too. I want to be able to make sure my mortgage is covered or my rent's covered or my car payment. They are too. But as far as leadership style, I'm going to pick stuff up off the floor. I started as a dishwasher in the early 90s at Poet, so I understand what it takes in all aspects of it, starting in the back to the front. There is no unimportant job in our business. You got to pay your people well. You got to talk to them like you care about them. Little things for them. I try to help and I try to do things. I knew as just a line cook, buying a new T-shirt or buying a new chef shirt or buying a new pair of shoes could sometimes make or break you for a 2-week period. I try to give my kitchen people good non-slip shoes. I mean, the front of the house people, I'll help them out as well. They have cash on hand a little bit easier. Some of them make a good bit more money. But the kitchen guys, I'm a little closer to because I'm working shoulder to shoulder with them every day.
Right.
Whether it's a pair of, non-slip shoes for the dishwashers or, this, that, or the other thing, I'll help somebody out on the side if they need something. I've always been like that. And I'll continue to be like that because I do care. I do care about everybody that works for me. And, it's some people don't believe it, but some people do, and it worked for me.
Yeah. Well, audio went out for just a second again.
And whatnot about what we do, because I don't like to, I do like to hear people say, hey, you guys are killing it. This is my wife's favorite restaurant, or we love coming here for lunch as a group. Man, do I love to hear that. But I can't let it go. I can't let it go to my head, Jeff. I mean, it's every day on the way home at night or in the afternoon. If I'm not going back to the evening, I think about something I could have done better, something I could have said differently. So in that aspect, yes, from day one, the first 6 months, the restaurant, I am a lot different because I've had to adapt to who I've got. And you can't talk to everybody the same way.
Good point.
You never have. That's one of the beauties of managing people, that it helps you learn more as an individual than you think, because you can't approach employee A the same as employee D over here. You can't approach this front house employee the same as this host or hostess. But that being said, I do expect a certain level of performance out of my employees, whether it's a server or a cook. Don't come to my window in the middle of service and ask me something that you should know after being there for more than a couple weeks, and it's because I expect you to know. That being said, I will say what I need to say right then and there. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to let it fester. I'm not going to boil over. It's like I'm going to correct, or I'm going to yell, and I'm going to be like, hey, this is what this is. Right then and there, and then I'm over it. And they know that. I don't hold on to anything, but in the same turnaround, 5 minutes later, I'll say, hey, thanks for picking up that napkin in the middle of the dining room.
Right.
Hey, good looking dessert over there. Hey, this steak temperature is perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you made a great point there about different people requiring different methods of how you speak to them, how you approach them, and all that. And I think for those
no two people are the same.
Yep, you're exactly right. So you got to be flexible, right?
Sure.
And approach from different angles. So let me ask you this, and I'm switching gears a little bit now off the leadership, but over to performance, measuring success in the restaurant. And I'm just curious, and I think it's just a me thing, but I like to ask, what do you look at each day or each week to determine, how successful your week was? Are you looking just at sales? What are kind of the metrics?
Okay, so I'm kind of funny on this. I'll take two examples of people I worked for because I learned the most from a couple groups of people because I had progressed to a leadership role with, Dan and Jeff at Bravo.
Yep.
And Derek is the local, at Local 463 is his executive chef. Derek and Jen and Jeff and Dan, two very, very successful groups of restaurant owners, two different styles of, management, numbers and metrics. I like to say that I've taken what I felt more comfortable with from both ends. Dan and Jeff are super, super focused on percentages and numbers, and they have, Lynn Kay's in-house accountant. She's been doing like numbers and stuff like that for them for years. And it was always good to see, percentages and costs and things like that.
Right.
And on the other side, Derek's the same way. He's kind of, but it's less of a percentage and numbers focus, more of an understanding and like, this is how the business is and not letting on as much. And I like to say that I'm a little closer on that end. Look, the bottom line is if there's money in the bank and your employees are paid, you're doing something right. Now, the last couple of years have been, last 18 months have been really, really tight. And like I said, I like to fall somewhere in between, fly by the seat of my pants and being super stoked about numbers or, super, concerned about percentages on certain things. And, I'll be honest, I should probably know numbers a little bit better than I do. But at heart, I'm really just a cook that's dumbing my way through this business, and I've found a stride, and we're doing well. That said, I can't tell you what specific percentages are. I know my food cost runs high and my labor runs high. Yeah. I know why, because I pay a good amount. I pay my people overtime, and I don't cut employees, and I don't cut their hours. We just try to get the same stuff done at the same time. I don't cut people because when you start cutting hours, they start looking for other jobs with more hours. Yep. So, cutting somebody an hour early at night or two people makes these people have to clean more. This guy doesn't get as many hours. So to me, it's a wash in the end. But I do know that, touching back on like assistance for employees, or not unemployed people, it's one thing. We wouldn't be here right now without the PPP funding. We wouldn't have been able to. We wouldn't have. That's keeping that's literally everything that's kept a lot of businesses, especially the local ones in our area, open. It's been tough. There's a lot of them that didn't open. They got funding and whatnot. There's a lot of us are still it's touch and go, Jeff. I mean, so you asking like our success? Yeah, I mean, I feel like now, just now in the last 6-8 weeks, we've come to where we're feel like we're coming back. We're back. But it's still touch and go with the way people react to media and mandates, and at the drop of a dime we could be right back where we were. We can't close down again, so having said that, we're still here doesn't mean we're in the clear, because even without the lockdowns and a pandemic, you take that out of the equation, this business will still shut you down in a heartbeat if you do anything wrong for any given time, or if you're not present as an owner, if you don't care about your business, you won't have any kind of success. You won't have $50 in the bank, you won't have anything, because with payroll runs, I mean, you got to pay your people, so you got to have money to pay your vendors, you're not getting the sales, it's not there, so it's, sorry if I go back and forth sometimes.
No, that's okay. It's
things. So, to touch back on your original question there with success, I kind of feel like it's, we've got, if we have, $800,000 left after all our bills were paid every month and every employee's paid, then we're making it, in school, in culinary school, they teach you to plan on 1% profit in this industry. So 1%, that's 1 penny on the dollar. At best a nickel. So you do the math on $1 million in sales a year. Well, $10,000 profit. It's not a whole lot to go around when air conditioners break, when coolers break. It's you'd be belly up. Real quick. And that's what ends up happening to a lot of these businesses. They get in, like you had talked about with, you've interviewed a lot of people on the investor side, regardless of them being present in a business or knowing how to cook something, they still know the pains of a restaurant, because they're the ones that are writing the checks. They know how fast the money goes. Period. So it's, you don't have to be an everyday employee. That's why a lot of investors and companies, and even you'd see the bigger box stores, that when they finally pull the plug, it's because the sales aren't there to meet the demands of like the bills and the labor and food costs. It'll suck you dry real quick.
Yes, it will. And unfortunately, lots of people have been down that path, and many have, it's inspiring sometimes, because you'll talk to different people, and some of them have had those failures, that where it just didn't work, and they had to shut it down, and they tried again and maybe again, and eventually they got it. So, we're glad that you guys are doing well, and we hope that this latest pandemic situation will ease and not continue to get worse. And that you'll be able to stay open. We definitely don't want to see anything in the country about shutting down or having to go backwards again. So I'm hopeful that won't be in the short term. Hey, do you see kind of a last question here? Do you see yourself, or had you thought about maybe before the pandemic about growing the business or adding locations or franchising it out or any of that? Is that on your mind?
I think lose full serve is lose full serve. I have somebody approach me almost weekly, maybe not as recently, but yes, I would like to grow the business, but at the same time, I don't want to let go of my business that I've grown so far. I've got some really good people in place. If I'm not there, they can take care of it. Obviously, I'm a few people short of that, to be perfect. But sure, I would like to grow it. I've got some other things already penned out and ready to go. It's just a matter of timing, Going back to the original question, my timing was just right for moving forward with this project. And I don't want to take any unnecessary risks right now with the, signing, more of my life on the line.
Yeah.
Or my business or anything, and it's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're still grinding away, and that loses my number one focus. I do have a lot of ideas, some better than others, and it's a lot of it's nerves too, Jeff. I'm scared to death of taking on a new place in another location that may or may not be. It's a lot more expensive in a lot of these newer places. I like where I'm at. I feel like I pull from all three counties. My rent's not super expensive. I mean, restaurant space is always expensive. But,
Yes, it is.
Some of these newer developments, but is it, a lot of the questions I ask myself, is it worth, the increase in, square foot cost to driven business? You never know. I mean, that's the gut hit for me, is like, I'm not sure. You can ask a lot of people. I'm a hand wringer. It's I'll worry about it too much. And then. Well, but yeah, I entertain it a lot. I think about it. But that said, I don't know if I want an investor or anything like that. With the people that offer me money. I have people say, "Hey, we love this place. We'll write you a check to come out here." I'm like, I want to do it on my own. I really do. Because I can stand up at the end of the day and say, I did this with the support of my wife and my crew and Trustmark with an SBA loan.
And you're not beholden to someone else. And then,
well, I don't have that. There's nobody elbowing and nudging, and I mean, obviously customers do that, but you really only answer to the government, I guess, with paying your bills and taxes and your vendors and whatnot. But
that's awesome. Well, we hope that. The timing will get right, that Louis can bring us some maybe some new ideas, some new concepts, some new ventures down the road. But you're right, it's a challenging time to consider that right now, and it is scary. And although there are some people opening up doors, it's which is amazing to me. It's amazing when I see all these things going up and starting out, whether it's restaurants or whether it's whatever. I'm like, these guys. I guess they've got the guts, right? But
no doubt. It's there, and the opportunity's there. You may as well go get it. That's you may see something else out of us in the near future. But it's I don't make any promises. But like I said, it's scary to me. It's still scary having just one business, and I'm always amazed at like Jeff and Dan and Derek, how these guys function and manage multiple locations. In Jen, I don't want to leave her out. They guess if you got one, you may as well have four, is what some people say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once you've done it once, it's then it's repeatable. But I'm sure if the timing gets right, that we'll see Louis LaRose decide to bring something new to the table, and we'll all be excited to try it. Again, if you're in the Jackson, Mississippi area or surrounding area, be sure to get down to Lou's Full Service and have a wonderful meal. Louis, we appreciate you being on our show today. I'm gonna wind this thing up a little bit and let us all get back to work. But for those that any final thoughts you wanna throw out there? Any comments?
No, just grateful to be able to speak. Hope I made some kind of sense. I'm just grateful for everybody who comes out to eat, and grateful to be able to speak about my place, and thankful that somebody, knew who we were and said, "Hey, come on, this Local Leaders and talk about the business."
Well, we're grateful to have you, and we're trying to grow our audience and really want to reach out and help those other business owners, whether it be restaurant owners or any other kind of business, because leadership, challenges, overcoming challenges, things we talk about really represent across industries. But this is a tough one. The restaurant industry is a tough place to be. So if you can get through it, then you've got something to say. And we appreciate you being here, and look forward to having all our guests back on the next episode of the Local Leaders Podcast. And I'm Jeff Johnson. And again, Louis, thanks for being here. And
thank you.
We're going to sign off and say goodbye. Till next time. Thank you.